start off with our fight song. Senator Bashir, would you like to lead us in the fight song today?
Sure.
Awesome.
All right.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh.
1, 2.
Fight, fight, Tigers fight. To you.
Okay, thank you everyone. We'll now be moving into roll calls. Attorney General Kapoor.
Okay, President DeVoe.
Present.
Vice President Johnson.
Present.
Treasurer Colquitt.
Present.
Chief of Staff Ambush.
Present.
Director Ramos. Director Moody. Director GMA.
Present.
Director Johnstone.
Present.
Director Clark. Director Edwards. Director Leo.
Present.
Director Alia. Director Kemp. Director Eagle.
Present.
Assistant Director Johnston.
Present.
Senator Eaglin. President. Senator Hardin.
Present.
President Pro Tem Teddy. President. Senator Salim. Senator Washington.
Present.
Senator Ring.
Present.
Senator Hayes.
Present.
Justice Hurtado Olson.
Present.
Justice McNeil.
Present.
Thank you very much. We will now move into the approval of last meeting's minutes. Are there any amendments to the minutes? Hearing none, they will be considered approved. Are there any amendments to today's agenda? Okay. Hearing no amendments, we will continue forward with the agenda as presented. Today, we do have 2 groups of guest speakers. Unfortunately, Dr. Hurt is running a little bit late. But we would be very excited we are very excited, excuse me, to welcome everyone here for the parking study presentation. I would love it if you guys would not mind introducing yourselves.
I'm Steve Jones. I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer, and I also have responsibility for operations and facilities and parking and transportation.
I'm Pam Mooney. I'm the Director of Parking and Transportation.
And I'm Bob Campbell. I'm Associate Vice President who was involved in the parking study.
Thank you all so much. Staff members, are you ready to? We're just pulling up the presentation
Okay.
now. and it should be good to go.
I was waiting for Dr. Hurt. He said he was going to do the tap dance up front. So I'll let you pull it up. Well, while she's pulling it up, whoever's pulling it up. First off, thank you for giving us some time to come in here today. I know this is a topic that's very important to everybody in here, and it's actually intended to be an update. You probably recall we engaged with a consultant to come in and do a study on our parking situation, and we've actually covered this information with our other 2 shared governance groups, our faculty academic senate group, and we did it with our staff senate group. So this is our 3rd presentation of the same information, and it's really intended just to update you where we are. I know there's been a number of meetings that have taken place, and some of you probably have participated in giving some feedback and had some questions. And hopefully you'll see some of that in some of the information that's presented. Pam Mooney is going to be presenting the information to you. As Pam said, she's the Director of Transportation and Parking. So sit back, relax, enjoy the ride, and she'll be able to answer the questions that you might have to go through. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. This is not Pam, by the way. Pam's throwing her voice there, okay?
Good afternoon, everyone. I guess I would like to call your attention to the slide that's presented here.
Overall, we're going to cover three things: preferred plan, kind of some transition elements, and then some things that were implemented in the fall of 2021, just to give you a sense of the agenda. And if I could ask you to go ahead and advance to the next slide, that'd be great. So as far as the preferred plan coming out of the parking study, you'll hear this term park once, and really what that is, we're going to get into in a second here, but it's going to be an approach towards parking that we're considering and that would allow us to improve the parking experience for everybody, as well as help us with some of our sustainability efforts on the campus as well. So those are two really big things that are very good things that I want to just point out to you. Before we go anywhere, this kind of an approach relies on our shuttle and transportation system, and Pam's going to talk about that in a minute, a little bit deeper dive with that. But it's really essential that we have a more robust and reliable shuttle system on campus. It's going to be the foundation of this approach. But in terms of the user experience for parking here, we're trying to do what we can to improve it. We think that this type of an approach would help us get us there. One of the key things is when you come to campus, we're going to ask you to park in a certain place, and that's going to assure that there's a parking space for you. Imagine a world where you're not having to hunt for parking or figure out, I'm going to go to this garage or this place or that place. That when you come to Towson, you're going to go someplace, there's going to be a spot for you, and you're going to be able to move on from there. And parking is really not going to be an issue for you. Imagine that world. So we think that that's a tremendous benefit and approach towards parking. You see some other comments there about rates. We're not really we don't have those rates fully developed. We don't have any real information to share other than the fact that we would be looking at maybe proximity style and duration rates and the other rates for the adjuncts and faculty staff. But as I already mentioned, the more frequent use of the shuttle and the routes on campus is going to be a key component, as well as the technology. If you have our transportation app, some room for improvement there. We're going to be looking at that to see if that can improve, the use of technology to help us out with parking and specifically the shuttle service. So you put all those things together, you end up with a much better parking experience at Towson, which I think everybody agrees would be welcome. On top of that, then we get the sustainability benefits as well when we take this type of approach. So, you're not going to be, again, having a lot of people idle in the parking garages or hunting for parking spaces. It's going to reduce the traffic flow on campus, which is, also pedestrian benefits there as well. If you go across campus certain times of the day, it can get very congested. We're trying to reduce the traffic on campus, and this type of approach helps us to do that, reduce our carbon emissions. We'll also have some elements about walking and bike components too as part of our expanded sustainability program. So at this point, I think I'm going to turn it over to Pam to go into a deeper dive on some of these things.
I am Pam.
The real Pam.
The real Pam. Thank you, Bob. Okay, what I want to do is, if you advance the slide for us, thank you all again for your time tonight. We appreciate it. Sorry, back one. Oh. Wow. There we go. There we go. All right, as Bob had indicated, that one of the big parts of the study really was driven by the parking situation on campus. We have plenty of parking, but everybody wants the same parking space at the front door. So what that does is, by allowing everybody to have access to all the parking, in essence, everybody tries to go to the same place. You have people idling, and we can't get people to use the spaces that we have remotely, primarily outside the stadium. So part of the park wants is to distribute the demand in the high areas. So what that means is that we will be using more parking in the remote areas, and a big part of being able to properly serve the students and faculty staff is to make sure, if you are in those in the remote areas, that you're able to get to and from the core campus easily. So as Bob had indicated, a key part of this whole transition and process that we're looking to do is to ensure that we have consistent shuttles and more frequent shuttles from the remote areas on the campus. Many of you may or may not be aware that the CDL industry, which is commercial driver's license, is a highly, highly competitive industry. And part of the consistency issue we have is trying to recruit and keep drivers. So part of what we really need to do before we make any changes in parking is to resolve that issue. So we're currently looking at a variety of different things. How can we get more drivers in? Can we look at other options in different size vehicles, things like that? So the emphasis we're doing right now is trying to make the shuttle program more sustainable in the long run, not have to be constantly looking for new ways to get drivers and keep drivers. One of the things that we're looking at is putting on less CDL, the larger vehicles, putting on some smaller vehicles where we can do that and still handle the demand and not have an issue. Making sure we have the right staffing levels of CDL and non-CDL and to cover the hours that we have. And also to make sure we have the right funding in order to make sure that we can have the drivers and have the positions filled. One of the things that we'll be looking at is realigning some of the routes. Do we need all the routes? Do we have places where we go to, but we don't really have much ridership? Does it make sense to continue to serve those areas? Are there areas that are served by the MTA? Are there areas that will be served by the new Towson Loop? Is everybody familiar with Towson Loop? Okay, great. That's supposed to start on October 12th. So that'll give another option for people to get up in town. So we're working with the county and the state so that they're not replicating services as well. That will help with sustainability. We will look to discontinue potentially other routes. This year, we actually did discontinue the Rogers Forge route, which was served by the MTA as well. Yes? You want to hold questions for the end, or you want to do them? Probably best to just do them at the end, and then we'll sort of capture everything, because I may answer things in the next slide. So we'll be looking at those different options as we go through, preparing for our final plan to go into place. Okay? Go to the next slide. All right, what have we put in place so far in preparation for these eventual changes, the bigger changes? This semester, we have already moved core residents off of the main campus down to West Village and 10 West only. What that has done is that it's opened up about 250 spaces on the main campus for commuters. Most residents tend to warehouse their car, so it's better to let them be in the remote areas and give the closer areas to the commuters. So that's already been put into place. We also put in place a new adjunct rate. A lot of our adjuncts don't have high compensation and they're not here a whole lot. So what we put in place is they get half of the rate of the lowest faculty staff rate. And in order to make sure that we're being equitable, when we had to raise permit rates for this semester, this year, we increased the faculty staff rates at the same rate that the student rates were increased, which is the 3.8%. As years go on and everything, alternative transportation used to be the buzzwords for biking and shuttles and walking. It's now sustainability. So we have rebranded our program to be a sustainability program. We've already done that. And as I mentioned earlier, the Rogers Forge route, we discontinued that because we had the overlap with MTA, and we also didn't have a huge amount of riders, and we've realigned those drivers and buses to other routes. So that's sort of the high level. So at this point, I'll turn it back over to Steve and open it up to questions.
So you can ask me questions so I can have Pam come up there and answer. Isn't that wonderful? You had your hand raised.
Yeah. Okay, so I was just asking, will students find out before the possible discontinuation of the line? Because I know students didn't really know about the discontinuation of Rogers Forge before it was discontinued. And if you do go by where MTA routes are really frequent just around Towson, and they do collide with a lot of Towson routes. So if that was the reason that the Rogers Forge route was shut down or like discontinued, there'd be the argumentation of a lot of routes shutting down. So how can we prevent that just based on both having the same stops?
You mean the overlap? You're talking about the overlap?
Why was that the reasoning, and will students have the information of the discontinuation before it is set as discontinued?
So I'll answer the first part of your question, and I'll let Pam answer the second part. we should communicate in advance when we're gonna discontinue a route. And that would give students obviously the opportunity to plan ahead and to not be surprised when they walk up and say, gee, where's the bus? Because I was waiting and I didn't know. So I don't know how much lead time we typically give, but as soon as we make a decision to discontinue a route, we should be communicating in advance so that you can make plans. So philosophically, that's what we should be doing. And I'll let Pam talk to you about the practical part of it.
And just a little bit more on that, we did put out notification about discontinuing the route, but anytime that whether we discontinue or change a route significantly, if we tweak timing a little bit, we don't really put that out. Anytime we make significant changes, ideally we try to do it with the fall semester. If not, we will only make those changes barring some crazy thing going on. We'll make it at the beginning of semesters. What we do is we take the semester before and we put information out, and we did put it out. You really have to watch the TU Todays. We put out a lot of information out there. It gets out to everybody. We will tweak this information. We look to SGA and others of please help us push that information out. So we put that information out a long time ago about the Rogers Forge. Unfortunately, in the best of times, people don't always pick up on the information, and certainly the past 18 months has been the best of times. So yes, you will definitely get notice. If I'm understanding your other question about MTA and TU buses being safe, we did not discontinue Rogers Forge because of a conflict with MTA. We could serve those areas fine. We do use MTA stops. That's the authorization that we have with the state. And what we do is most of those stops are really geared for multiple vehicles. And if we have to wait for them to pull out and we pull in behind them, that's fine. So that's not why that was ended. It didn't have much in the right way of ridership. It had very low ridership. So instead of having resources on a route that had low ridership that also did have MTA services, we elected to say for the few people that were living there, you can take the MTA. Some people actually walk over to where the child care center is and then catch our gold route to get on campus. And we'll take those buses and those resources and put them elsewhere on heavier routes.
And then just a follow-up question, like how will students be aware ahead of time of the discontinuation instead of just you all making it aware of students that it's being discontinued? Is there a way that you can make students alert of the possible discontinuation? Maybe putting bus routes that have less frequented riders, maybe like slowing down how often the buses come instead of just going straight to discontinuation?
We could do that. It's when we try and make decisions about ridership and what routes we're going to run and where we're going to go, like anything, we have limited resources. And so we have to look at, all right, what's the pot of vehicles, drivers, money that we have? Where's the best place to put it? Whenever we discontinue a route, which is rare, it is a sort of an ongoing process that we do. And part of what we did is through the plan discussions that we had, that was one of the things that was put forward about a year ago of that Rogers Forge is one that's being recommended to discontinue. As we met with your groups and other groups across campus, when we got to the final decisions that yes, we're looking to do that. Now we're doing the next piece, which is, this is really where we're hoping to go. So we'll put out as much notification, and when we start doing sort of these wholesale changes, our plan is, like I said, to you today, we'll send out emails, try and do as much of that. We'll have open forums. Hopefully you guys will allow us to come back and have more discussions with you as well, so that you can help get the information out. So I am more than happy to come to any of your meetings at any time. Just give me a little bit of notice. And if people have questions and things like that, I'll be happy to come meet with everybody.
But I did hear you say, and it's a great suggestion, we need to think about ways that we can give you more advance notice of even the thought about possibly looking at a route change. That's a great suggestion, something that we'll just have to figure out how do we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief of Staff Amber?
These are kind of quick questions. So the first one is, since you're like rerouting people to like MTA ridership, I know like universities that are in competition with us, like they offer like, the local bus route is free or the local subway is free. And I think I mentioned this last year when we had a similar conversation, like, has there been thought of Towson like working with Maryland to have the MTA service, at least once around Baltimore County, free for students, so they don't have to like pay to get on the bus?
You take that? And making decisions on it, getting some input, and before we put anything in, like I said, we'll have more of these sessions to say, okay, here's where we are, this is what we're looking at, this is where we're headed. So yes, that certainly is one of the topics that will be in discussion.
And my second question is, because the Towson Loop, which is going to be free, it's literally almost the exact same loop as the Tiger in Town. Has there been conversations about discontinuing the Tiger in Town? They do serve literally the exact same area.
Yes, they do. So is there discussion? We're in discussions at everything. Sometimes when we try to look at where we're headed, things have changed considerably. Loop wasn't around before. Technically, it's not around right now. But the loop wasn't really out there. MTA has made changes. So what we're looking at is how can we not duplicate services? And I'll actually step back at times and say, okay, if I was starting from scratch, what would maybe be the best way to go? Then you start having to pour, it's like making a dish. Okay, now we have where are the heavy spots for students, where are they trying to go? What are the schedules of the loop and everything? So yes, it's part of the discussion. There has not been any decisions made about it.
And just to build on top of that, until the loop gets up and running, we want to make sure that it's reliable, and that if we were to make a decision to make a change, that we were satisfied with the service that was being provided. So we're going to watch and see what happens, but it's a great point because we don't want to duplicate it.
And I think that touches on one other page. I think Paige or may have been Jordan sent me people talking about that are up in the new housing areas now. Of what about a new stop and everything. One of the things that I sent back, a lot of times it's knowledge that I think Jordan's going to pass out and get out to everybody. We have multiple stops now, pretty close to most of the main new housing up in town. And it's different routes that run it, so that people have options. Individuals, yes, they have a West Village permit, but they can park in the accessible spaces. We have in front of, get my housing right, Knoll, there's additional accessible spaces down in that area, more than what we technically are required to have, because we know there's not much parking around there. So we put some additional spaces there, and people who park there, usually there's multiple spaces open, so that is in play. We also have our paratransit services. And paratransit, if you had somebody that maybe doesn't have the placard or plates, but they still have issues mobility-wise getting around, we have paratransit service. What they have to do is register through ADS, and they can get the approval to be a regular paratransit user. If you're not formally approved, you can ride up to 5 times before you have to go through the registration. So somebody that's broken their leg and it's just a short term, they can use paratransit as well. So we have those options. For the rare time, and I think we've only had, in all my years, one person that their situation was such that those options didn't work for them, we did make an exception to have to allow them to park in another area.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I know that you had mentioned that you were looking at non-CDL drivers and vehicles to add to the fleet. What do you imagine the percent composition would be of CDL and non-CDL drivers in vehicles?
Right now, we have about a probably 60-40 split, 60 CDL. We already started adding some non-CDL vehicles prior to the pandemic and over the pandemic, knowing we were sort of looking to head this way. So we do have some of those available and in place now. We have to look at the routes because if you put a non-CDL on, can it handle the demand? So that's part of looking at the ridership and everything. And everybody knows the world has changed considerably since the pandemic and coming back. We almost can't rely a whole lot on pre-pandemic because so many things have changed. So we're really looking at stats and everything now to see what our current scenario is before we dive too deep into, all right, let's put this here, put that there.
And just for clarification, I don't know, does everybody understand what requires a commercial driver's license? It's based on the weight of the vehicle. So we have to be real careful in terms of the size of the vehicle that we get, because a CDL driver can drive either one, but a non-CDL can only drive a non-CDL vehicle. So what our issue's been, it's not only been the mix, but it's also been our equipment. Because our equipment, we're limited in terms of right now, the number of vehicles that we have that are non-CDL buses or shuttles.
Right, you don't have as much flexibility with non-CDL, and it's the weight as well as the passenger count.
Right.
We may have to just take one more question if that's okay, just for
Okay.
time's sake, but then we will definitely be emailing you with all of
Okay,
that.
you two can fight it out.
All, look, we can.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, if there are only 2 more questions left, then we can.
I think there were some over there.
Oh,
You can email any other questions. We'll get their contact information for you
Yep.
guys afterwards.
If you already have mine, I'll be more than happy to respond to them.
Don't fret.
All right, sorry. Well, I love how sustainability is a core focus of this plan in the future. I just had a question concerning the single-use spaces, or the single space project that we had going on, that you guys talked about earlier. Will there be any sort of way to enforce that change, or is it going to be going by sort of honor code?
I'm sorry, I'm not totally understanding your question.
Saying about the park ones,
The park ones?
Yes, the park ones.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, the park ones, what that means is right now, if you have a commuter permit for a commuter, you can go into Castletown, Union, Glen, Towson Center area, Stadium, and West Village. You can pick where you want to go, okay? The park once says you're going to be assigned to a particular garage or parking location as well as faculty staff. And to get around campus, you need to either walk, bike, or use the shuttles. The shuttles, that's why it's such a huge part of this plan, is so that since you can't get in your car and move from Towson Town to the stadium or Towson Town over to Glen, we need to give you an alternative, which shuttles is one of them. So what would happen is we will sell a certain amount of spaces in each location. And we will sell it at a point that even at the peak, there will be some number of empty spaces. So anytime you come in there, barring some massive event or strange thing going on, you know every time I go to Towson Town Garage, I'm going to be able to find a space there. It doesn't mean that it's going to be one-to-one because there's turnover, particularly with students. So we may sell 2 times the number of permits for the number of spaces because we know with turnover that you'll leave at 11, somebody else will come in at 12. But they'll still have space available. So that's when we say park once, that's what we mean. And of course, just like we do now, you'll have a specific permit, which means you have to have that permit to be in Towson Town Garage. If somebody with a Glen permit goes in there, they'll get a citation.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was also I was also wondering if there was any research being done into renewable sources for our buses and our shuttles especially. Is there any research being done into that? Are we kind of just going along the continued trend of using gas and fuel? Or
What we're doing right now, we actually, 2 or 3 years ago, the smaller buses, we have 3 small buses in our fleet now that are hybrids. So we've already started moving towards that. Our plan at this stage is any new buses that we buy that are the smaller ones will be hybrid. The larger buses, we routinely look into that, but they are not as efficient, they're not as reliable and cost effective and everything as it is with the smaller buses. So right now, we continually will look at it, and if something pops up at some point, yes, we'll certainly look at that. But we'll at least be doing it with the smaller buses. We also look at other options like propane and gas. And we've looked at that for years. You have to have a facility where you can get that. And right now, the closest place that has that is up towards Timonium. So now you have to add in going up, getting that, the fueling time, and coming back. So we are looking at it right now. This isn't the best option out there. This isn't there right now. But yes, we're continually looking at it. This plan, we will be putting a lot more emphasis on actively doing more sustainable stuff versus promoting what we have, just promoting what we have.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you for your time, but thank you for what you do. You all do a tremendous service for the university. And Jordan, I want to say thank you for your leadership. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to make a friendly reminder that unless you have permission from Attorney General before, we do ask that you put away technology in this space. But we have our other guest speaker who is here, Dr. Hurt. If you would like to come up and introduce yourself and just say hello.
Very much. Good evening. I'm going to be very brief. I had two purposes to join you today. First of all, for those I haven't met, I'm Vernon Hurt. I have the privilege of serving as Vice President for Student Affairs here at Towson. And first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the SGA. This last 18 months have been just a significant time for all of higher education, and certainly there's been no 18 months like it in the history of Towson University. And the partnership that we've had with student government, both last year and this year, has really just been significant. So I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your representation and fine representation of the student body. My second is both an announcement and an ask. So one of the things that is really important to me is to have spaces to engage with students very broadly. So I am creating for the Division of Student Affairs a student advisory council, and it really is designed to enhance opportunity to just hear from our students. I have on a regular occasion the opportunity to meet with our dynamic SGA leadership of our Graduate Student Association. And this council will be an opportunity for students who may not be in formal leadership positions to be able to give voice and share perspective about ideas for the student experience here at Towson University. So the application will launch for the Student Advisory Council on October 4th. I'm going to make sure that our leadership at FGA is aware and able to help share that information to the broader student population. But I wanted to make sure this body was among the first to hear about this new opportunity that we want to have to be able to engage students on campus. So again, thank you, President DeVoe, for the opportunity to bring greetings, to share. Thank you, SGA, for your leadership, and looking forward to continued great partnership this year. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Hurt? Thank you again for coming and sharing. Dr. Hurt is absolutely phenomenal. We will now move into any public participation or student concerns. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move into communications. So first up, we have advisors' remarks. Unfortunately, our advisors are not able to be here today. So we will move into our three committees. We are setting those meetings this week, so we'll move on from that as well. President DeVoe.
Hey, hi everybody. I'll try to be brief. There's a lot going on, so I'll try to be succinct with you guys today. Last week I was able to attend. I am a representative on the education sub-team of the Tiger Advocacy Advisory Team, which is a body that works to help the community have tools to be responsive and proactive in issues that come up in terms of demonstrations, particularly third-party demonstrations that happen nearby or on streets that we don't necessarily own, such as cross-campus drive. So this last meeting was really great. We came away with some really large takeaways, one of which I'm collaborating with Director Johnstone on bringing to fruition, which basically will be an event where we share out about First Amendment rights to students and rethinking how we do know your rights in SGA, if any of you are familiar with that event. So just sharing and not taking the our hands are tied approach to things like this and saying, what can students do? How can they voice their concerns? How can they be active when these situations come up and not be arrested? So that is something we wanted to share. The University System of Maryland meeting was this past Sunday, and there are a couple of opportunities for collaboration that I think I wanted to share with you all. One of which is on the grounds of carbon neutrality. The bill that they were discussing failed this past session, but they're hoping to reintroduce it this year. So I'll likely be speaking more with Director Johnstone about that and why it failed and how we can go about that differently. As well as at UMBC, they're having issues in terms of advocating for their Muslim student population and spaces for them. So we, obviously, I don't know if you all have seen in the new union, there are foot washing stations and things like that. And we wanted to share out about ways that we could advocate for them, as well as UMB and Salisbury are doing similar things. So we just wanted to offer our support in whatever ways that we can. Also, at other universities, there are issues going on in terms of COVID compliance discrepancies between students and faculty. We haven't heard that issue here at Towson as much in terms of compliance, but we just want to offer our support there as well. And the Chancellor will be joining the USM in October, so if there are any concerns you'd like us to raise with him, please let me know. I'll give you the exact date. I don't have it with me right this moment, but I believe it's within the first 2 weeks of October, so let me know as soon as possible. And there are a couple student concerns that I'll receive directly, and if it's not a confidentiality issue, I'll try to update you guys on the status of those. So in terms of blind and low vision student accessibility, Director Ramos and myself will be working alongside ADS in terms of offering better resources at like crosswalks and things like that. The master plan tabling was today for anyone that was able to go. Thank you so much. There'll be a Zoom this Friday that we'll share out with students as well about the master plan that has been shared with us. I believe that's 11 to 12, but I'll send that out as well. And then lastly, we're following up. I don't know if you all are aware on the issues that took place in terms of like contractors and let me try to say this properly. Employees through Chartwell's this past year in terms of hate bias incidents. So we're just going to circle back and kind of check in. Nothing formal, but just kind of see how things are going to the degree that they can share with us. But yeah, that's kind of everything for right now. Pardon me? Right, thank you. I always forget that. Anyway, so we have 2 members of the week this week. First, I will start with Luke. Let me make sure I don't say the wrong name. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I know you're on the edge of your seats. Give me 1 second. Okay, great. Okay, all right. First member of the week is a member of the cabinet. They've been really, really active this year in terms of advocating for issues that have long-term effects on our community, particularly in terms of climate. They are a beautiful person and contribution to our organization. I hope you all will have an opportunity to collaborate with them in the near future, but we are just so proud of this individual so far. And the first member of the week is Director Johnstone. Okay, great, awesome. That's a fun part. So much talking. Anyway, last member of the week is someone that you'll hear a lot from today, but has been really, really active in terms of making our budget pass. So we definitely want to give him his shout out as well. So that obviously is Treasurer Colquitt. With that,
Thank you very much, President DeVoe. I And congratulations, Director Johnson, as well as Treasurer Colquhoun, on your member of the week award. Very exciting. Next up is Treasurer Colquhoun.
Good evening, everyone. Been pretty busy the last week, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. So first, of course, the main thing I've been working on is really just trying to rework our budget in a way that both reflects the drop in enrollment, but also with a minimal impact on, affecting how we operate as an organization and also supporting the departments and organizations and initiatives that we support. Of course, with the greatest programming experience and impact for the university. So, and as a result of that work, I started with President DeVoe working on taking a more in-depth review of all of our contractual agreements that we have with the university and some of our departments. And so more work will come from that in the coming weeks, just, reviewing some of the things that we're sort of locked into, how it started, and the dollar amount of those different things. Also, I created the spring budget hearing process. The timeline for that has been released to all senators, as well as our director of student organizations. So that's going to be exciting. Pretty much, I'll post it later, but most people that need to know the information to disseminate it already have that information. So if you have any questions regarding the spring budget hearing process, just let me know. I also refreshed the Treasurer's Hub with all of the appropriate deadlines, timelines, and information. So if the student org has any questions regarding the budget, most likely it'll be answered on that website. So you can just direct them there. All the templates are there, the timelines, the form stacks, everything's there, and even to submit the initial budget and the final budget. I started an initiative like Treasurer's Hours, just to allow the treasurers and maybe the president, finance chair, fundraising chair, whatever you call it, student orgs to schedule a time with me within 30-minute increments. If they have questions regarding financial policy, spring budget deadlines, and things like that. Also heard back today from Director Jemme that the email was successful in reaching out to the union building coordinator and getting waste bins in the female bathrooms. So that's good. And also, I attended the Senate introduction workshop hosted by Director Eagle. I'm sure she'll get into that later. And I've been working to plan the pre-meeting for Thursday. And thank you to Director Moody for your support and your help with that. Lastly, I guess I'm officially the member or a representative for the RPAC, which is the Resource Planning and Advisory Committee. Basically, it's the university's committee that just reviews our resource planning, our budget stuff. And in our last meeting, we kind of just looked at spending over the last year, how we received federal and statewide CARES Act support, how that money was spent, things like that. There was a lot of information in there regarding the union, new construction around campus, and also plans for the future. So I'll post the minutes from that meeting. And if anyone's interested, feel free to shoot me questions my way, and I'll bring it up in the next meeting. With that, I yield.
Thank you very much. Attorney General Ford.
Okay, hi everyone. I hope you're having a good week. It's the fourth week of school. So GA and pre-meeting attendance is mandatory. No meetings, etc. should be planned at the same time as the time was aware, and it's the same time each week. If you know you're going to be absent ahead of time, just send in your absence report so we can have it all documented, easy peasy. Timesheets should be located, and they are located in the office, and they should be totaling the amount of hours your position is supposed to work. So directors 10 hours, senators 5 hours, ADs 5 hours, and so on and so forth. All weekly reports are due Thursday by 5 p.m. So before you walk into pre-meeting, it should be completed and submitted. And I know a lot of you do hours on Fridays. So if you're planning to do those, you can put them on the same timesheet for the week and just write I plan on doing this Friday. And all hours should be worked Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you are working outside of those hours, you should get them approved by me and your executive. Okay, with that I yield.
Thank you very much. Chief of Staff Ambush.
Happy Tiger Tuesday, everyone. Okay, sorry, there's a lot going on. So this past week, I've been doing director one-on-ones. I think there's only 3 directors I still have to meet, and I'll probably catch y'all either tomorrow or Monday. There is going to be a change in office hours for me, so I am going to be available tomorrow till 5. Normally I'm available till 3. That is because I am traveling Thursday. So if there is something you need me to do before the end of the week, I really suggest you reach out to me now or Wednesday and be like, can you please get this done before you leave Thursday? Because I will not be here on Thursday, Treasurer Colquitt is leading the pre-meeting. I am so excited. It's going to be team bonding. I know many of you have been asking for that. So I'm really, really excited. I'm kind of sad I'm not going to be there, but I'm really, really excited for that. For questions if you know the answer to it. So there's that. Yesterday, me and President DeVoe, we went to the new university Armory, where startup is. It was really, really great experience. We met with some entrepreneurs there, and that was awesome. We're almost done fully moving into our space. So you're still gonna see like some tech people come in, move printers around, but for the most part, we're pretty much mostly done. There's still a few furniture pieces that will come in eventually. I do want to apologize for the change in spaces with GA. There's only 2 more GAs. We're not in the multi-purpose room, and those announcements will be sent out before we have GA. Just till next week, we're back in here, so please plan for that accordingly. Tomorrow, the email about Outlook is going out, so you all should, who is not on Outlook, should be on Outlook by the beginning of next week, and I'm gonna try my hardest to make sure that it's a smooth transition. That way no one is like freaking out. So there's that. Lastly, Makeup Retreat is going to be next Wednesday from 5 to 6:30. If you cannot make it, please submit an absence request. I am going to send an email with more details, like literally like what we're going to do, like what you should prepare with. Don't worry, you don't have to dress fancy. Just bring like a notepad and a pen. We're just going to go over what we went over at retreat, kind of the technology, some of the rules, things that we haven't gone over like just informally. And directors, remember that awesome video I sent you all on how to do communications? I hope you all watched that, and today we do amazing. Yeah, and with that, I yield.
Thank you very much. Department, I'm sorry.
I have a
Justice
question.
Renata Olson?
I have a question for Chief of Staff Ambush. For the makeup retreat, we're not sworn in yet. Have they been made aware of that date so that when they are sworn in, they're ready to go?
Chief of Staff Ambush?
Yeah, I'm gonna work with Attorney General Kapoor to make sure that those justices will be there, and I'll work with my other executives on Vice President Triskopta to make sure that any senators will also be able to join if they're confirmed in time.
Okay, thank you.
Assistant Director Jackson?
Question for Chief of Staff Ambush. Is the Armory open for everyone or just like business students?
The Armory is open to the public, so you can like walk into the first floor. There's also Starbucks there, but it's not done. But it's gonna be done soon. Also on Makeup Retreat, if you cannot attend that, we will have a personal Makeup Retreat, one-on-one.
President Dillon?
Also, in terms of the startup location, if you know any like students who have businesses that need office spaces, you can reserve spaces there. It's actually very nice. We also were able to meet some entrepreneurs that are interested in co-sponsoring some events. So that should be fun. But yeah, but if you have any friends that you know need that kind of thing for their businesses, consider that great investment from the university.
President Study?
Does that makeup retreat count as an office hour? Do you use that as an office hour or?
We will get back to you on that one.
All right, seeing no more hands, we're going to proceed. Department of Academic Affairs?
Today, Vice President, I'm not even gonna try to.
Triskopta.
And I met with the provost. We raised issues on grading, mental health, Textbook affordability, am I missing one? Professor accountability, am I missing one?
It's kind of like general
Yeah,
expectations.
general expectations. So those meetings will continue throughout the year. Last week, met with the dean of the liberal arts building to kind of discuss the same thing. So this week has really been about, meeting our university administrators so that we can tackle the issues facing the student body. Also working with Director Edwards and Senator Rank to introduce a grading change piece of legislation that'll be proposed soon. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
Just have to you.
Oh, I do.
Thank you. Okay, Department of Campus Activities. Department of Civic Engagement.
Hey, good afternoon. Sorry. I'm gonna try to be a little short with this one. President DeVoe mentioned, we are, the University System of Maryland is working on the Future Act, which is a bill that was discussed. I'm fortunate enough to have been working with the MSCAC, which is Student Coalition that sort of forwards the bill. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I will do my best to answer. Let's see, I'm also working with President DeVoe and Treasurer Colquitt on trying to allocate some funds for a sustainability fee with the upcoming, or not upcoming semester, next year. As that progresses, I'll let you guys know. Let's see, I met up with the Climate Leadership Committee over the weekend. We discussed the master plan. So that is basically just a giant plan going over any future construction, sustainability plans, a lot of accessibility issues. So if you have any concerns or any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I believe someone sent it in the group chat earlier, so you could also use that as a reference. Let's see. I hope to be working with senators soon on a carbon neutrality by 2030 bill. I have already discussed it a little bit with the head of the Academic Senate, and hopefully after some research and some time with Patricia Watson, the Director of Sustainability, I will go to the head of the Director Senate, and we'll see what happens then. Let's see. So tabling commences next week for voter registration. We would love to see you there. I believe the sign-up genius got changed. We were fortunate enough to get another table at the stadium. I can't remember the name, I'm so sorry. But when I get the link to the sign-up genius, I will send it your way, and hopefully we can get more people signed up. Let's see. Lastly, there is another table for civic engagement. It's going to be done in 2 weeks. We will be discussing different bills that sort of pertain to sustainability and civic engagement. It will be held, I believe, 1 day at West Village Lawn and 3 days at the Freedom Square. So when I get that finished, when I get that ironed out a little bit, I will definitely send this kind of genius your way. And with that, I yield.
Thank you very much. Okay, Department of Communications.
No updates, and I do.
Thank you very much. Department of Community Outreach.
Hello all, just hope you're having a good day and a good week. No report today. I'll keep you guys updated in the group me as things come along my way. I get things developed. So yeah, that'll be.
Thank you very much. Department of Diversity and Inclusion. Oh. Department of Health. Oh,
Sorry, I have the communications. So this is our communications on behalf of Director Ramos. She is currently at the Issues to Action event that's happening at the University Union. She's representing the Student Government Association. Hello everyone, I apologize I wasn't able to make it to GA today as I'm currently helping with the Encouraging Empathy event, which I collabed with CSD to do. Weekly report is pretty short this week. I have a meeting planned with Patricia later this week to discuss accessibility on campus. So if you have any topics you want me to bring up, please let me know. I also now plan to start preparing for Not Up to You event for this semester, which I'm very excited about. If you all have any suggestions for the event, please don't hesitate to reach out. And with that, I hope GA is great. I miss you all. And with that, I yield.
thank you very much. Okay, Department of Health and Wellness.
Guys, I'm gonna try to keep this short, but, I have the COVID-19, leadership meeting this Monday, like we have every Monday. But some like updates is that, for future students or future staff that will be like applying or coming to Towson, there will be like vaccine rules and regulations put into force for that. The number of there has been a low number of compliances when it comes to sentinel testing for people that aren't vaccinated but have like excuses, so that's good. Contractor compliance, we've definitely gotten an update from that because there have been student concerns about certain like dining places or dining staff not having masks on. So they, the higher ups have talked to their bosses, and that's something that they've talked to like directly to employees. The new clear masks, like they call it the Gallaudet clear mask for like desk studies and ASL classes, have been ordered and they're coming soon. And for other things, I have some dates that are like kind of tentative, but October 20th is the tentative date for the immigration clinic and resources event that I will be holding with the CSD. And it's for undocumented students and not also like documented students, and mainly for undocumented students. So that's the tentative date. If any changes come to that, I'll tell y'all. And also November 16th, I will also be meeting with Alexia from Student Success and Vanessa from the CSD about a de-stressing event for Latinx students. The meeting with the health center got was that we wanted actually to be a part of. And with that,
Thank you very much. Department of Higher Education.
Hi, everyone. So just a reminder, the first exit meeting is going to be Monday, October 4th. I'm still looking for mentors if you're interested. I put the Google form link in the group me, in the professional group me. So if you're interested, go ahead, fill that out or share that link if you need to. I did find out last week that there's another school that Exit was at, and I'm trying to get in contact with those administrators because I do want to extend the program to another school. So be on the lookout for more information about that. And I meant to share this last week, but when I spoke to the counselor at Chesapeake High School about the exit program, it seemed like the students really needed a focus on like transitioning back into like in-person learning and everything, and dealing with like that anxiety and overwhelming feelings. So definitely, if you feel like you can help those high school students with that, please reach out to me. You don't have to be like a formal mentor, but I would love for like some of you guys to come in and speak to them if you can, whenever you're available. I am looking for an assistant director, so if you know anyone, just send them my way or send them to our SGA page. There is an IG page on the way for the exit program, so be on the lookout for that too. I have 2 separate meetings with the assistant dean of the College of Education and the advisor for the Urban Educators Club next week. And it's just going to be like a quick meeting about initiatives and collaboration opportunities that I can have with those, with the College of Education and with the Urban Educators Club. So if you guys have any ideas as well, please let me know. Also, mentors, if you already been like selected as a mentor or anything, remember to fill out that volunteer application for Baltimore City Public Schools. You have to complete that before you enter the school. It includes like COVID preparation and training and all that good stuff. And also there's like a lot of promotion going on for the exit program at Chesapeake High School right now. So for my mentors, if you would like to be in some of our promotion that we share with them, just let me know and I'll give you some more information. And with that, I will.
Thank you very much. Department of Legislative Affairs. Okay, Department of Special Projects.
Hi, everyone. So just a reminder about the involvement fair tomorrow and next Wednesday is upcoming. I think it is supposed to rain though, so I'll let you know if like they cancel it or anything like that. If you have October events, please let me know within the next 10 days. it's hard to like plan October events in October, so, if you do plan on having an event in October, just let me know soon. Also, remember that homecoming is from the 10th through the 16th, and I've already seen like a lot of, places been booked up, like homecoming committee and stuff like that, so just remember if you are having an event to plan around homecoming, I'm trying to have an event like during homecoming week. Also, remember to reach out to Director Clark, when you have your event, and then you want like flyers and promotion and things like that. With that, I yield.
Thank you very much. Department of Marketing. Oh, wait. Justice Rutata Olson?
Oh, I had a question for Director Moody.
Yeah.
So for the weekly involvement fairs, if it does rain, is it just gonna be canceled flat out, or is it gonna be moved to a different location?
I actually don't know the answer. I was gonna email them because I just thought I was gonna raise like 5 minutes ago. So I'll let you know. I'll put it in the group chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I did say Department of Marketing, but I do not believe that director is here today. Department of Student Organizations.
Hello, everyone. So for my weekly report, I did host a Senate introduction meeting with the entire Senate to discuss the important relationship dynamic between the Senate and my department, and also the Treasurer's Department. I have interviewed and accepted an AD, so once she's approved and everything of that sort, she should be getting confirmed soon. I have assigned senator assignments for everybody, and I do expect senators to contact their groups this week. I will be hosting, I will be having office hours where if a senator has questions about what information to include and all that stuff, like budget deadlines and all that important information, I can help you with that. And lastly, if you need me to include any important information from your department in an email, because I do email all student organizations, please let me know and I will do that for you as well. And with that, I yield.
Thank you very much. Department of New Student Development.
Hey guys, happy Tiger Tuesday. I just want to say that. Anyways, I've done like 4 interviews with freshman council today alone, so thank you guys for pushing out the application. Tomorrow is our first freshman council meeting of this semester, so yay for us. Please keep pushing out the applications. We haven't met our 20-person max yet, so please keep pushing out the applications. Also, I've been meeting with Director Leo about the proposed bill to change Towson's plus-minus system back to A, B, or C. And I've also had a great meeting with Senator Rink this morning, discussing another bill that we're discussing passing regards to having later dining options on Towson's campus. With that, I yield.
Thank you very much. All right. Unfortunately, our 2 representatives, TU Northeastern, are not here today. Maryland Higher Education Council representative.
Hi again, guys. Sorry, I'm still waiting to hear from the reps about when meetings will be. They're usually once a month or once every few months on a Saturday. So as soon as I get some information, I'll let you guys know. With that,
Thank you very much. Okay. Athletic Affairs representative. Okay. So currently, all of our representatives are vacant, so we're hoping to push those out as well. As well as Office of the Solicitor General, which we will not be applying for. So for my report, first of all, as Director Edwards said, happy Tiger Tuesday, everyone. But first of all, I wanted to say congrats again to Senate leadership and to the Senate as a whole. I'm so grateful for you, so please don't forget to give yourself all a round of applause. Also, I'm very excited to see that we're continuing to promote senator positions. We're going to be continue pushing things out, specifically talking to Director Clark about different things that we can do just to get that out. So even if you're just in the club or you were passing by somebody and they mentioned something, don't be afraid to just jump in for a little bit and just try to talk to them. Of course, don't trap anybody talking about Senate stuff, but if they're okay with it, then please encourage them. Also, keep an eye out for bill assignments. The rest of the bill assignments that have been posted on Band will be going out today. That will be kind of everything for senators, as well as any directors that are looking to go onto those bills. I do want to note there are some bills that were submitted through the form that are still going to be posted and banned tomorrow, but we are starting the ball rolling on all of those. Also, just as Director Eagle as well as Treasurer Colquitt said, senators specifically, please email your student orgs this week. Let them know about the budget dates, introduce yourself, all that stuff. And other than that, thank you guys very much for listening. And I yield. Okay, we will now move on to opinions of the court. Are there any opinions of the court? Thank you. Now we will move into unfinished business. Are there any motions on the floor? Sharon?
I move that we review budget bill number 1.
Okay, is there a second? Senator Hayes?
Senator Hayes, I second.
Okay. All in favor of reviewing budget bill number 1? Okay, opposed? Abstaining? If that motion passes, we will now begin reviewing budget bill number 1. At this time, I would like to yield to Treasurer Colquitt to explain a little bit about it.
Is it okay if we switch sheets for this portion? I mean, I need your laptop. Okay. Unless you want to just switch laptop.
Thank you all for your patience while we are switching seats around.
Do you need me to report to them?
Yeah.
I apologize, y'all. My computer is looking struggling.
If you want to disconnect.
I'd still like to remind everyone that we are in a meeting, although we are figuring this out. I would like everyone to use that. Also, if you guys do not mind holding all budget questions until the end, that would be awesome. Even if you just gotta write them down, we would appreciate that. Just that way we can get through all the information, keep trucking along, and then we can circle back to anything and everything that you guys would like to address.
Yeah, she's
I think it may be an internet issue, because mine says the internet.
okay, it's opening up. It's not a problem. Sorry, I cannot see it. There we go. We got it. It's okay, okay. You can sit there. Sorry. I'm sorry. Why are you too fast?
Thank you, appreciate it. I do want to note that we have tabled this budget bill twice now. We did review it briefly for the special session this summer. We also reviewed it for another special session. However, certain things have changed. Senators, I understand that you guys were provided with this information. And I really, really do encourage everyone to hold off questions until the end, but also do not hesitate on asking questions.
Okay, all right, can everyone see, good enough, a little bit, kind of? All right, it's also posted on band, so, if you can't see it, I'll crop out the FY21 actual. Hopefully, you know, sorry to do that. Okay. All right, I can look at this page. All right, so I'm proposing, I'm reviewing the proposed budget once again. You'll notice that some cells are highlighted. That just means that I made a significant change that I wanted the Senate to be aware of on the line item. All the rest have either remained the same and maybe changed by no more than $1,000. So I'll just really quickly go through each line item. All right, so college town shuttle support. I'm proposing that we fund that at $18,213. USA Today Readership Program, $17,300. Elections, $5,000. Inauguration and banquet, $5,000. Tower light advertising, $14,000. Discretionary, $13,000. Student group conference and makeup summits, $2,500. Multicultural conference, $3,500. Involved at Towson, $19,057. Food share support, $2,000. SG athletic hosting, you'll notice I did change the name of the line item. The last one was a bit misleading. I changed it from SGA athletic support to athletics hosting. We're in charge of hosting one athletics game. This time it will be the football game, our homecoming game. And it's typically just food and some giveaways and stuff. It decreased that from 12,000 to 6,000 for this year. Localist master events calendar, 15,500. Tune council support. This number will have to be adjusted after we get the final tune enrollment number, but it won't impact our budget because those funds come from tune students. Freshman council 9,000. Protocol together all 10,000. It's on us 10,000. And I'm moving to the next section, which is professional development. Summer professional development, 13,482. Fall winter professional development, 15,000. And I'm moving to initiatives. Tiger Pride Day, 18,000. Marketing, 23,000. Director of Civic Engagement, 7,000. Director of Diversity and Inclusion, 9,000. Director of Higher Ed, 1,000. Director of, Welcome to Towson, TV Takeover, 14,000. And General Initiative, 23,000. Next, I'll move into office supplies. You will notice a decrease here from my last proposal, and that increase is only because one, we have a lot of supplies in stock. We have a supply room in the back of the old SG office, and I think we should use some of that supply instead of rebuying stuff. We don't need new stuff. If we're working it there, we can use it. And also, a lot of what we're doing now will be digital. Just because of the nature of how COVID has impacted the way in which we do things and conduct business. Technology, equipment, computers, 4,500. Phones, this is also another one that decreased significantly, just because after, again, looking into all of the line items, just to see what we're spending money on and why and how we can adjust in certain areas. We don't need as many phone lines as we had. I think we were paying for 20 lines and we only used 2, and we only had 6, so it reflects the amount that we use. Printing, $2,500, postage, $200, shredding, $90, bank fees, $1,000. And now I'm moving to salaries and compensation. You'll notice a decrease in the FTE salaries. That's because when I proposed the first budget, we hadn't hired our administrative assistant. So the number that you saw there was based on last year's number. However, we do have an assistant, excited, she starts tomorrow. So make sure you welcome her with open arms. And the salary, I got that number from our human resources. So yeah. And SGA member compensation, you'll notice also. Do I need that? Do I have to have it?
Yeah.
Y'all want me to use it? You're good, bro. Y'all hear me good? I can hear you. Okay. Yeah, and then, no, you're good. And then, SGA member compensation, so we were able to really rework some things and creatively think about how we delegate different tasks, and how we function as an organization. And so 2 director positions will at the moment not be hired, just to reflect, first, the increase in the minimum wage, and secondly, the increase in minimum wage and also the enrollment drop. So we had to kind of cut things in and refigure some things across the board. So you will see some organizational changes, and just some tasks being delegated to different people. And I think we're fully equipped and prepared to do that with. I'll move down. Oh, sorry. Scholarships and student support. So $8,000 towards the student relief fund, $15,000 towards scholarships. Budgeted SGA student organizations, $80,000. Budgeted SGA student organizations projected spring semester, $95,000. Campus activities, $372,000. You will notice this is a $35,000 decrease from the last budget that I proposed. And this is a result of really just meeting with the sports club organization and seeing how we could rework some funds that were allocated previously, and also based on requests that they have received from sports clubs, and we identified that number. So 35,000 of that has been returned. Well, still another issue. Next up, alternative rate connections in the amount of $7,500. Relay for Life, you'll notice this is initially I proposed that we fund this in the amount of $12,000. But I now have 0 as I've learned that they're no longer active due to changing in programming due to COVID. They're no longer active on college campuses. Tigerthon, $15,000. Greek Council, $11,000. Ujima, $3,500. Supplemental Fund, $10,000. Prove It Fund, $4,000. Weekend Retention Fund, $2,000. Explore Conference Fund, $1,000. Collaboration fund, $8,000, and contingency, $5,000. Okay, that's it. Just so you can see, as you see, this is our operating amount as of the 17th, and my proposed amount is just short of that number. So, I open the floor to any questions, President DeBoe.
Just a comment, this also needs to be approved by the Office of Student Affairs, and as of today, they said good, so now it's just on y'all to approve it.
Any questions? Oh,
Considering
So the first one is our Director of Community Outreach. We currently freeze that hire. Assistant Director Saxon will be working with President DeVoe. President DeVoe will take on that role as interim. For Solicitor General, that's been the conversations we've had throughout the summer. When we were thinking about how we wanted to structure SBA, we realized a lot of the duties of the Solicitor General can be re-delegated out to different positions, especially the J board. So that was, even before we went over the budget, that was a position we were considering creating anyway.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Director Leo?
The 5,000 that we allocated to election, what does that go to for?
So, elections, essentially at the end of every year, the election commission needs, they have promotional materials, that they use to, encourage students to run. There's also election judges who are paid, and, lunch and stuff like that for the judges and such. I hope that makes sense.
Also, just so you know, the election commission is not like anyone from SBA. They're a separate body that requests money from us to support like the election process.
So similar to an actual election, we're not involved in that process, but there are people who are, and they have,
Director Leo?
Did you ever I forgot what I was going to say.
Justice Olson,
So I know that because of unforeseen costs, previous administrations have run into debt. What steps are you taking to make sure that that doesn't happen again?
well, first, as I'm pretty sure the entire exec board can, let you know, we made cuts. I made cuts, wherever, I felt like line items were like, are we spending money here? As you see, all of the reductions here reflect that, including things like looking into our contract agreement, and different things that we've done, including our code. Why are we paying for 20 phone lines? Stuff like that, just making sure that we, take a look at how we're spending money. Also, taking a closer look at, each of our line items, including things like, director line items, general initiatives, and monitoring the usage of those line items as, students drop and also as more students enroll and get additional fees throughout the summer, and the mini semester, to monitor and make sure that we're not overspending. I also work with, Director Eagle, who served as past treasurer. So coming into the role, she told me, we're not going into debt. And so that's kind of something that I've been looking out for since I was elected. She's not gonna happen. Any more questions?
I remember what I was going to say now.
Director Leo?
Oh, you pointed at me, right?
No, I pointed at it. You're good.
All right.
I'm like, oh no.
No, I can't really see here. It's kind of weird. I'm trying to.
So,
It's your floor. I have them in.
the 13,000 for discretionary, is there any way we can break that up into more like specific amount of where that's actually, it just seems, I'm not a senator, so I don't have a vote on it, but it seems like 13,000 is a lot of money to just not have an idea.
Okay, I go to Chief Staff Advocate.
So our discretionary this year, I will say, is a lot less than in previous years. The reason why it's just not any other line items is that sometimes things happen and we need a line item to fall back on. So like, for example, in previous years, like something would happen in the spring, such as, we might need to hire new people, or, we have to plan a last minute event, or sometimes events just go over budget, student work might go over budget, like for example,
For objects or items in the executive budget, or will that also go into like, director funds? Like, say I need money for a project, but I don't have that money in my fund anywhere. Can I pull the discretionary or is that like?
Of course, there's oversight, with the line item, and we typically, at least I don't support the practice of using it as something of, oh, I need money, let me tap into discretionary. We have general initiatives for that. As Chief of Staff Amber said, it's kind of like a cushion to make sure that we as an organization don't run into any issues. But to answer your question, we could do that. President Bell.
And in terms of programming, typically like that goes to general initiatives rather than directly to discretionary. And I would say like as an administration, I'd like to see, I have no oversight of this is Treasurer Colquitt's decision, but I would like to see discretionary used more so in crisis response situations, unless we absolutely, have to, and we don't, like when we go to Ms. Vicky and say, where's the money coming from? We can't just pull from some arbitrary place. So yeah, but general initiatives would be the next tier rather than just.
And just another point, Director Leo, I'll yield to the next question, regarding the discretionary. 13,000 is a lot less than previous administrations allocated, a lot less. So I wouldn't want to splash the numbers further and have a potential financial situation that we just can't deal with in the future. Director Leo.
Is there any way we can rename it like emergency fund or something that's more like details of what it goes, and I don't know, not that I don't trust the administration, I just don't, my recommendation is that I don't feel comfortable.
As stated earlier, so with discretionary, it's kind of one of those things, where if a student or goes over their budget, we could use that money there. If a director goes over the budget, we can use that money there. If we want to take on an initiative that we feel shouldn't come out of general initiative, because that's typically that's where our directors pull from. For example, we did host a visual ceremony for a student that lost his life to reckless unsafe driving. We took a really small amount from there for that. And so I wouldn't recommend renaming the line item to that. And I can yield to Director Eagle.
Yeah, the discretionary fund isn't going anywhere because of the fact that we've utilized it in the past. Like when I was treasurer, there's been many times the students had to use the discretionary fund, and as Treasurer Copeland had mentioned, in the past years, they were allocated way more money than it is now. So changing the line item, like it's called the discretionary for a reason, and I don't recommend it goes anywhere or it be changed at all.
Just the final thing on that, it is like a common practice to have money where you can have the discretion to move it around where you see fit. I work at a nonprofit. I'm sure you have experience too, where this is not a thing that's unique to Towson SBA. It's a very common practice. Are there any other questions for Senator Hardy?
I just want to know exactly what protocol to develop and what is it's for us, and why it's actually the or not for both of those accounts or $10,000.
Okay, I like that question. So another, like I said earlier, kind of going into our review of contractual agreements, some things we either package. Almost all of our contractual agreements were entered into at some point by an administration, and so Protocol Together All is one of those things that supports the counseling center, an initiative that we took on last year, and I can yield to Director Gambe, and then Director Eagle to tell you a little bit more about Protocol Together All and how we support the counseling center.
Yeah, so I have a few meetings coming up for Together All, but it's it's a contractual agreement that SBA has for like all Towson University students, where they can it's basically like a mental health hub, and it's online. So there's like mental health professionals there, and if you want to talk to someone, or if any of that mental health professionals sense that there's like danger with somebody there, then they can contact someone that may need help, whether it has to be with trigger warning, sexual violence, or suicide, or anything around that. But that's like what the council. You want me to put that on?
So it's on us, it's also trigger warning, it's like a national thing, but Towson University opted into it, where it's like, it's on us to stop sexual violence, and it's basically the thing we do like either once a year or once every semester. I haven't figured out which one I'm doing, but it is $10,000 for that. It's a little whole school where we like raise awareness about sexual violence and all the resources that we have with the Health and Counseling Center, and also other organizations around Baltimore. Yeah, I was just gonna talk about the Together Off. I was a part of the group that like jump-started that initiative, and like during the pandemic, that stated like it is a digital mental health program for the benefit of all Towson students. And they did tell me about it. I remember speaking about it last year as well to the entire SGA. But yeah, it was 10,000, and that was a low amount they offered us. So yeah, I really think we should keep that as well because it benefits everybody. And yeah.
Are there any more questions?
Are there any motions on the floor? Agreed with, I will definitely vote on the motion. Is there a second to vote on budget bill?
I may have missed a point. Just a point of personal privilege.
Granted. Senator Buckingham.
So that was a minute and a second.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, wait. Is there any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we will now move into a vote. We're voting to vote on the budget. So this is not approving the budget, this is motioning to vote. So all in favor? Okay, opposed? Abstaining? That the motion passes, we will now be voting on budget bill number 1, concerning the approval of our SBA budget for this school year. Is there any last minute discussion before we vote on? Okay. All in favor? All opposed? Abstaining? With that, the motion passes. We have an Thank you very, very much for your hard work on the budget. One more round of applause. For many hours. Okay, we will now be moving into new business. Are there any motions on the floor? Senator McInerney.
And I want to, and I need that we review resolution number 8.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor of reviewing resolution number 8? Okay, opposed? Abstaining? That motion passes. We will now be reviewing resolution number 8 concerning the appointment of Aziz Kasada Olson as Chief Justice to the Judicial Board. We will restate that. I do want to state a quick friendly amendment. There is no small dash between Hurtado and Olson. Okay. We're now reviewing resolution number 8 concerning Aziz Tashana Olson's appointment as Chief Justice of the Judicial Branch for the 101st Administration.
I was not expecting it there. So, hello, everyone. I know that I'm the last thing today, so I'll try to keep this kind of. First thing I want to do is thank Jordan for the nomination, and thank you all for the opportunity to speak in front of all of you. Ooh, I apologize, so it's not ready. So, sorry, I just need a second. So, I just wanted to sort of explain what I bring to the table here and kind of what I envision from the judicial board. The first thing I wanted to say that I bring is experience. I'm the president of one of the clubs at Towson University, the German Club. The German Club. And as the president of that club, I learned a lot. I learned how to interact with the SGA, with Senator Rink, and then Treasurer Lee Eagle. And I also learned about all the required meetings and deadlines. And that knowledge is going to help me in the future as Chief Justice, since I know what clubs need to do when they are, what clubs need to do, when they need to do it. And then when they appeal, I can assist them in moving forward, since I know the entire process. Not only that, but I bring hard work. I'm not someone to just sort of sit back and not do things. I do stuff from day one. One example of that was the initiative that I took with Senator Rink on the Afghanistan project. On the actual first day of school, we met and had a discussion and moved forward and discussed on how we wanted to move forward to assist students that are affected by the situation in Afghanistan, and then on how we as a community can assist the refugees. I'm also someone I'm someone who's not hesitant to ask questions. I'm sure that I've asked a number of you like different questions about your positions and how to assist you. And not only do I like to ask questions, but I also like to bring up concerns to Vice President Shoskovka and President DeVoe for whenever I have just well, you know, like when I see something, I will comment and say like, hey, I think this is an issue, this is where we could fix, or like, I need some clarification. So that's something that I bring. Now for what I want from the judicial board. I know that the justice position is more reactionary than a lot of like senator or executive positions, but I also want to emphasize action. I don't want us to just be reactionary, but I also want us to help the students of Towson University, whether that is helping clubs with different initiatives or helping directors with their tabling. I want the judicial branch to be there to support you, especially Treasurer Colquitt, who will probably be overwhelmed during the financial requirements of the clubs. I also want the justices to sort of be a resource. I know that justices are going to be on certain committees, but I really want to emphasize making sure that we as the judicial branch and judicial board are just there for you guys. I know I want to be there for you guys, and I want to emphasize that I want to make sure that all the other justices feel the same way, and that we're all one happy family. Yeah, I also like I said, I want justices helping clubs, and I guess that's it. Sorry.
We'll now open the floor. Are there any questions for current Justice Furtado Olson? Staff Ambush?
Hi, my first, well, only question, I don't know where to fit. My only question for you is, how do you plan as Chief Justice to hold the executive board accountable as that head of the judicial
Well, I have no problem standing up to any of you. No offense, but like I said before, Vice President Shaskovska, I mentioned like there's something that I wanted to know about, and like President DeVoe, I know there was something that I said like, hey, this is how I would do it in the future. So I have no problem standing up to you guys, and I also have no problem airing any concerns anywhere that I think we're going wrong procedurally.
Thank you very much. President DeVoe?
I'll speak on Justice Riccardo's behalf. I will say, I think some leaders might be intimidated by members that present a lot of gumption, and a lot of questions. But I'm energized by it, and I'm really grateful for individuals such as Aziz, that come with such energy, and make me think all the time. So I appreciate that, and I do recommend him for confidence.
Justice McGee?
I speak on behalf too. So when I first came here, I could kind of tell that you were here, you wasn't playing around, you wanted to be a big part of SGA and the judicial board. So I'm excited to work with you.
Director Leo?
Just to speak on your behalf, and I'm excited that there's another person. Now there's three of us who are asking questions, so thank you. Just a question for President DeVoe. How many members of the judicial board are there? I know there was, so there's 5. Are they all required to come to the meeting?
Yes. There's 3 justices, 1 associate justice.
I'll yield to Attorney General before.
Oh, yes, hi, there's 5 justices in total, 1 chief justice, 1 assistant.
The 3 justices have yet to be confirmed.
Okay, but they are all appointed?
We do have, we just need to have the legislation.
Okay, all right, cool. That's it.
Sorry, point of clarification. There's 1 Chief Justice, 1 Deputy Chief Justice, and then 3 Associate Justices.
Yes.
Just moving around.
Words, yes.
Are there any more? Are there any more questions? Senator Colquitt?
Okay, so as Chief Justice, as a justice, you'll deal with student organization appeals. How do you, during that process, even during the executive board yesterday, make sure that you remain impartial and biased?
So I know that I'm a part of a lot of student organizations. So I first want to promise to all of you, if there is any conflict of interest, I have no problem stepping back and recusing myself from that vote. As for keeping impartial, I like to work with documents a lot. I believe that they can help with that impartiality. I also know that with the judicial branch that we are able to kind of self-regulate and ensure that when someone is speaking, it is speaking from actually representing the students and ensuring that they're following the documents and not because of any outside bias.
Any other questions? Senator Ray?
I just wanted to speak on this behalf. Aziz was one of my student groups last year, one of the only ones who was on top of things. He was extremely on top of things and wouldn't hesitate to communicate with me if he thought that there was a problem. He's knowledgeable about the student arts process. So I think, as he mentioned in his speech, would be amazing in that sense. But also in SGA, he's a new member, but literally, like he said, on the first day, had messaged me on the group and said, I want to start an initiative with you. And we started working from then, like literally, I think 9 a.m. on. So he's very driven, very willing to learn, and I think that he would be amazing for this position. And I feel.
Any other questions? Do you mind stepping out and just closing the door?
Thank you all.
Thank you. Perfect. There's no further discussion. We can proceed into a. Excited. So all in favor of continuing the Olson as justice? Okay. All opposed? Abstaining? That motion passes. Something to get. Congratulations.
Thank you all, really, it means a lot to me.
Super excited. The J board is looking very good this year. So we're very excited to have both of you. Okay, are there any announcements? Attorney General report.
Okay, so our admin assistant, really exciting, does start tomorrow. So as you all know, we'll be sitting at the desk, like right when you walk in. So just desk boundaries, do say hi and bye as you leave, just as much as we're as part of SGA, so is she. She's our admin assistant, she's a part of our family, so just make her feel welcome. And also just desk boundaries, like if she's not at her desk, make sure you're not sitting there either, because that's gonna be her permanent desk for the rest of the year. That's her space, just as much as exec desks are ours, so that's just a little message. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. Thank you.
Chief of Staff, Aaron.
Just to build off on that, she is new to like university, like completely new. So she may ask questions, please answer them to the best of your ability. Of course, if you can't answer them, just like, hey, like, as soon as I can figure out the answer, I'll get back to you. But like, you know, she's gonna be brand new. So there might be just things she doesn't know, whether that's like formal things about the university or like informal things of how SG works. So, but eventually, hopefully by like October, she's like.
I have a quick question for Attorney General Report. With the new assistant, is there going to be any change with the sign-in, or is it still the same?
No, there will be no change with sign in. It will still be at that.
Okay.
For compensated members, she's responsible for approving your time. So please sign it.
I feel like I always have to announce it, but Senator, I forgot to mention that signed up for both initial budget submission, initial FAC meeting and the budget hearing. They're both live on the Treasurer Hub. So when you email your orgs, you can let them know that they can select their slots now, and it will be first come, first served. You know, so whenever they're available, you know, they know their schedule. So tell them to like get those slots selected.
This is the last thing. Thanks to Director Leo, who met with a representative from the bookstore. We do have 10% off gift cards to the bookstore. So please tell your friends to stop by the office this week until they're gone. We'll be giving them out. But yeah.
Okay. Are there any motions on the floor? Senator,
Sorry, I move that we adjourn.
okay, is there a second? Okay, all in favor of adjourning? All the hands go up. All right, all opposed? Abstaining?